So let's talk about some cool things. I know I'm going to bury the lead a little bit. I'm going to make sure that we get all of our topics covered here. But I wanted to share, something that I saw online that was super cool. Again, going back to the just what's been going on with Colorado and the cool things happening in and around the program, right? So this came out. This is Osegun's Ducktail. Great follow on X. LaJohntay Wester, right? A great former Buff, absolute incredible member of the Buffs community, coming back, going into the indoor practice field, and running routes with Cam Perry, and which is actually funny. I don't know why I didn't realize this, but I didn't realize his name was Cameron. I just thought it was Cam for some reason. With Cam Perry and Danny Scudero. If you see these routes, these guys are absolute route technicians. So really great to see LaJohntay back in the fold. This is one of those things that I think that we really need to make sure that we are emphasizing throughout the remainder of the Coach Prime era and into the next era beyond that is just getting former Buffs in the IPF, indoor practice field. Yeah. Helping to support the new guys, making them feel welcome, making it feel like a community. And it's not just kind of like the thing we always talk about, I guess, with the transfer portal is this like 1 year rental idea. And yeah, we only had LaJohntay for a single year, but he's really embraced Colorado as his home. And so just making sure that, we have these guys that show that even if you are just here for a year, you can still be considered a buff, at the next level and just in your career as a whole. So super cool to see that. Grateful for LaJohntay. He's done a lot of cool things, making sure that he's representing the Colorado community well. Cool. I'm so glad. For those of you who missed it, I had a whole panic attack there because the screen went black when I tried to do the intro video, and then I didn't really know what was happening. So I'm glad we got it figured out now. I'm going to stick with LaJohntay for a minute because he's doing a lot of cool things. And again, keeping it just lighthearted here before we get into some of the more complex stuff that's going on. But in particular, this is another cool one. LaJohntay, while in the IPF, talking up some ball with Juju. Talking about how to, really dissect your receivers, understanding their steps, their speed, their body language. I feel like a lot of times people look at the last couple of years of Colorado football, and they often think of receivers are only as good as their quarterbacks. But a lot of times people forget that receivers need to be able to communicate with their quarterbacks about what they want, where they want the ball. They need to make sure that they understand how to communicate to their quarterback, like in the right way to get the ball to them. So it's a dual relationship, right? Like, so LaJohntay is making sure. There was obviously some talk earlier in the year last season about Juju having that leadership voice and really, stepping up and communicating within the huddles and stuff like that. And he's done a great job of really developing, going into his second season here. But LaJohntay making sure that he emphasizes that to Juju, no matter the level, it's still business. You're getting paid. You got to make the plays. And right there at the bottom, that number 10 in Colorado, that it comes with standards. And so great to see LaJohntay instilling this wisdom amongst the young guys and really just showing him what it means to have that strong relationship with his receiving core. So really great to see. Appreciative of LaJohntay. I'm really hoping he gets that good opportunity with Baltimore this upcoming season, not just on special teams. He's obviously great on special teams, but we want more for LaJohntay, don't we? All right, let's switch gears a little bit to something I saw and something I just wanted to acknowledge it because I think it's obviously relevant, and I want to make sure that I cover it because it could be something that becomes a topic in the future. This came in from, if it's going to load, let's see. Hold on. It's going to load. It's not going to load. This is so fun. I'm still figuring this stuff out, guys. You got to work with me here. I got to figure out how this stuff works because I've never done these things before. We had basically the point I'm trying to get to is that there was some speculation that came out that Josiah Manu, one of our, hold on. There we go. Nice. We're doing screenshots now because I identified over the last couple of episodes that The screen share was really hard because you couldn't see what was at the top of the screen because of that part up there. It says S2S Colorado Live. So we're doing screenshots now because it's much easier for you guys to see. So Kai, I have Mad Flavor, fan of the show, or not fan of the show, friend of the show. I don't know if they're a fan. I hope so. That offensive tackle 3-star Josiah Manu has been switched to play D-line. This is definitely not like official for the record. This was like speculation. He was a part of some of the defensive line room meetings as part of spring ball. Again, spring ball is very, very, I don't know what the right word here is, but like, don't take a lot of stock in it, right? Like you could be, I think it is, there was kind of, sorry, I'm jumping around here, but like, when there was some discussion about Tyler Brown playing defensive line a couple of years ago, and I think there is some value in understanding, like corners should understand how receivers move, and receivers should understand how corners move. The same way the offensive line should understand how the defensive line moves, and the defensive line should understand how the offensive line moves. So I don't necessarily think this is like you're not going to see Josiah Manu playing offensive tackle for the Buffs, but I also think it's not a bad idea for them to give him as much training and knowledge as he can about what players at this level are getting training on and how they, are expected to attack their competition in college. And as New Breed says here, the offensive line has a lot of depth. I mentioned this when we were talking about it with Dukes last week, that it feels like they brought in a lot of guys that they have a plan for. And, there's Xavier Payne, there's Josiah Manu, there's a couple other guys that have been brought in over the last couple of years. And there's obviously the older guys that came in through the transfer portal. So in one way or another, if there's a way for guys to get on the field early, I'm not opposed to it. And it's not necessarily like we don't know whether or not Josiah Manu could play offensive line. He could play defensive line. Things change a lot. But I just wanted to bring it up because I think it was an interesting point. I think it was just something that I saw that I thought was kind of like, oh, wow, that's, that's something that is a little bit interesting there. Let's talk about somebody we just talked about a little bit. Is I just want to show this because he tweeted it out. And anytime he does tweet it out, I'm gonna wait until it loads this time. But a QB1, right? Julian Lewis. There was a lot of speculation after and around the Jordan Seaton stuff, that he would think about leaving or anything of that nature. But I want to go out and dispel the rumors all right now. Even the screenshot's a little bit big. I gotta make more horizontal screenshots. He just says right here, he got a little bit of a taste last season. He wants more, and he's blessed to be a Buff, which is just so exciting to see. I think it's like really underrated how important it is to have some level of a organizational cornerstone, right? Like there's so much fluctuation in college sports. There's so much fluctuation with rosters. And having a guy that's young that can lead your program and really like drive you into that next generation, right? Yes, it was really a major deal for Coach Prime to be here and to be coaching the Buffs. You could probably make the argument that having Shedeur as a quarterback was arguably just as valuable for the actual talent that they brought in, right?